On this 2015 to 2025 F150 with the 5.0 P0420 means the PCM may be seeing bank 1 catalyst efficiency lower than expected. The truck may run normally with just a warning light, or it can have complaints tied to fuel control, exhaust condition, oxygen sensor wiring, or upstream engine operation. I'm not starting with the converter. I'm going to prove the inputs first, make sure the engine is not creating the problem, and then verify the monitor result. Start by confirming P0420 is present. If other codes are stored along with it, check what those codes mean first. Clear the PCM DTCs and repeat the self-test. A misfire or another upstream engine problem can overheat and damage a catalyst, and high oil consumption can load the catalyst with phosphorus and reduce efficiency. Also, don't confuse this path with a simple odor complaint. A slight sulfur smell may be normal on a new vehicle or a new catalyst with less than 8,000-16,000 kilometers, 5,000-10,000 miles, and installing another catalyst may actually make that smell worse. Once P0420 is the code you're chasing by itself, move to the wiring. Visually inspect the HO2's harness connectors and make sure the oxygen sensors are not crossed. Look over the harness for exposed wiring, corrosion, and correct routing. Then inspect the PCM connectors for damaged pins, pushed-out pins, corrosion, or loose wiring. If you find a wiring or PCM connector concern, repair it as needed. Clear the PCM DTCs and run the catalyst monitor drive cycle to verify the repair. If the wiring and connectors look correct, keep going. Next is fuel pressure. Use caution here because the fuel system remains pressurized even when the engine is not running. For a mechanical returnless fuel system, turn the ignition off, relieve the fuel pressure, connect a mechanical fuel pressure gauge, turn the ignition on, pressurize the system, and cycle the ignition several times to charge the fuel system. Compare the gauge reading to the correct fuel system specification for this truck. Do not guess at that number. If the pressure is not within specification, fix the fuel delivery concern before continuing the catalyst diagnosis. Fuel pressure above specification can create an abnormally rich mixture, and that can drive catalyst temperature higher than normal. If fuel pressure is within specification on this 5.0L32V VCT, continue to the fuel rail pressure sensor check. Now check whether the fuel rail pressure sensor is biased. With the ignition off, disconnect the fuel injection pump connector. Start the engine. In the PCM, command the fuel mass die %PID to the maximum value, then monitor the FRP kPa PID. For this check, the FRP PID should be between 345-827 kPa 50-120 psi. If it is in that range, continue to the exhaust leak test. If it is not in that range, install a new fuel rail pressure sensor, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. There is also an FRP to FLP comparison in this fuel pressure portion of the diagnostic path. With the ignition off, disconnect the fuel injection pump connector, start the engine, then monitor the FRP kPa PID and the FLP kPa PID. The FRP PID value should be within 138 kPa 20 psi of the FLP value. If it is within that difference, continue to the exhaust leak test. If it is not, install a new fuel rail pressure sensor, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If your path into this comparison is not clear, pause, recheck the earlier diagnostic path, and avoid guessing. Before condemning the bank 1 catalyst, check the exhaust system for leaks. Pressurize the exhaust at the tailpipe outlet with regulated shop air at 34.4 kPa 5 psi, then use a soap and water solution to look for leaks. Be careful with pressure. Pressure above 241 kPa 35 psi can damage system components, so keep the air regulated before connecting it. Check the exhaust flanges and gaskets, the upstream HO2s and mounting surface, the exhaust between the upstream and downstream sensors, the downstream HO2s and mounting surface, and the exhaust within 15-20 25 cm 6 inches of the downstream HO2s and mounting surface. Also check the exhaust flange bolts and the downstream HO2s for correct torque. If you find a leak or torque concern, repair it as needed, clear the PCM DTCs, and run the catalyst monitor drive cycle to verify the repair. If no exhaust concern is found, move to monitor verification. For the exhaust restriction side of this diagnostic sequence, inspect the front and rear exhaust pipes, the catalytic converter, and the muffler and tailpipe assembly for damage or restrictions. A slight amount of pressure in the exhaust is normal, but excessive exhaust back pressure can seriously affect engine operation. If you find damage or a restriction, repair it as needed, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If nothing obvious shows up, decide whether an exhaust back pressure tester is available. With a back pressure tester available, install the tester and use the tester maker's setup and test procedure. Typical exhaust back pressure, when measured near the exhaust manifold and at normal engine operating temperature, should not exceed 27 kPa 3 psi at idle and 55, 2 kPa 8 psi at wide open throttle Watt under load. If the test indicates a restriction, repair it as needed, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If it does not indicate a restriction, there is no indication of restrictions or leaks detected in the exhaust system from that check. If a back pressure tester is not available, use manifold vacuum as an indication of restriction. Attach a vacuum gauge to an intake manifold vacuum source and watch the gauge while increasing engine RPM. When the engine is first started and idled, the reading may be normal at 51-74 kPa, 15-22 nhg. But as RPM is increased, back pressure from a clogged exhaust system can make the needle slowly drop to 0 kPa 0 nhg. The needle may then slowly rise, and excessive restriction can pull the needle low even at idle. If the vacuum gauge indicates a restriction concern, repair it as needed, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If it does not, there is no indication of restrictions or leaks detected in the exhaust system from that check. With wiring, fuel pressure, FRP response, and exhaust leaks checked, run the catalyst monitor drive cycle. Then use the scan tool to perform the PCM self-test again. If P0420 returns after those checks, the repair path is Bank 1. Install all new catalytic converters on Bank 1. Clear the PCM DTCs and repeat the self-test. If P0420 does not return, the test is complete and no concern is present. The key takeaway is simple. For P0420, prove the upstream causes and exhaust integrity first, then let the catalyst monitor confirm whether Bank 1 still fails. For more diagnostic training, visit stepdiagnostics.com.